welcome back to Reading the List, where we review, discuss, and reimagine popular movie lists objectively. We're your hosts. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad, and in this episode we'll be exploring number 50 from AFI's 100 Years, 100 Passions, the 100 Greatest Love Stories of All Time.
And number 50 is Shakespeare in Love, released in 1998, directed by John Madden, starring Gwyneth Paltrow, Joseph Fiennes, and Geoffrey Rush.
The synopsis for this romantic period dramedy is as follows. In 1593 London, sometime Lord Chamberlain men's theater player William Shakespeare, played by Joseph Fiennes, is suffering from writer's block, trying to finish the comedy Romeo and Ethel, the Pirate's Daughter. He attempts to seduce Rosalind, mistress of Richard Burbage, owner of rival Curtain Theatre, and convince Burbage to buy the play from Philip Henslowe. Who Shakespeare usually writes for and owns the Rose Theatre. Shakespeare receives advice from fellow playwright Christopher Marlowe, but is despondent to learn Rosalind is sleeping with someone else. Desperate for money, Henslowe begins auditions for the unfinished play. Viola de Lesseps, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, daughter of a wealthy merchant and fan of Shakespeare, disguises herself as Thomas Kent and auditions. Kent gains Shakespeare's interest but runs away when he questions her. Shakespeare pursues Kent through the streets to Viola's house, where he leaves Kent a note to begin rehearsals at the Rose. Shakespeare sneaks into a ball at the house, where Viola's parents are arranging her betrothal to Lord Wessex. Dancing with Viola, Shakespeare is struck speechless. Confronted by Wessex, Shakespeare introduces himself as Marlowe. Wessex ejects him and threatens to kill him. Shakespeare finds Viola on her balcony, where they confess their mutual attraction, before he is caught by her nurse and flees. Inspired, Shakespeare transforms his play into Romeo and Juliet. Rehearsals begin and Kent lands the role of Romeo. Shakespeare uncovers Viola's true identity, and the two begin a secret affair. Viola is summoned to court to receive approval for her marriage to Wessex. Shakespeare accompanies her disguised as her nurse's female cousin. He anonymously persuades Wessex in public to wager £50 that a play can capture the nature of love, the exact sum Shakespeare needs to buy a share in Chamberlain's men. Queen Elizabeth declares she will judge the wager. Burbage learns of Shakespeare's attempts to seduce Rosalind and cheating him out of payment for the play. He starts a brawl at the Rose. The Rose players repel Burbage and his men and celebrate at a pub. A drunken Henslowe lets slip to Kent that Shakespeare is married, albeit separated. News arrives that Marlowe has been murdered. A guilt-ridden Shakespeare assumes Wessex had him killed because he believed that Marlowe, rather than Shakespeare, was Viola's lover. Viola believes that Shakespeare is the victim. Shakespeare appears at the church, allaying Viola's fears and terrifying Wessex, who believes he is seeing a ghost. Viola confesses her love for Shakespeare, but both recognize she must marry Wessex. The pair are discovered making love, and the Rose gets closed down for allowing female actors. Viola's identity is exposed, leaving Shakespeare without a lead or a theater, until Burbage offers his own theater as a heartbroken Shakespeare takes on the lead role of Romeo. Following her wedding, Viola learns the play is going on and hurries to the curtain. She replaces the stage-frightened boy playing Juliet, and she and Shakespeare play to an enthralled audience. Just as the play concludes, authorities arrive to arrest the performers for indecency due to Violet's presence. The Queen intervenes and pretends Viola is a man. The Queen also tells Wessex, who followed Viola, that Romeo and Juliet wins Shakespeare the bet. She also orders Viola to sail to Virginia with Wessex. Viola and Shakespeare say their goodbyes, and he vows to immortalize her. He imagines Viola in the beginning of the 12th Night in character as a castaway disguised as a man after a voyage to a foreign land. All right, Shakespeare fan, go for it.
I I really love this movie. Do I think it deserved the Academy Award and all the accolades it got? No. But I do love this movie. I think it's pretty interesting and pretty clever of the writers to basically write a Shakespeare play. It has everything the Shakespeare play has. A woman disguised as a man. It has the play within the play. It's got tragedy, you know, of Marlowe's death. It can be seen as some of the storyline runs parallel with Romeo and Juliet. And so it's kind of like watching a modern day Shakespeare adaptation, kind of.
A little bit, yeah. Like all the things that kind of end up in Romeo and Juliet, like, kind of happen in the movie. Like the scene where, you know, after he gets Wessex kicks him out, he finds her on the balcony. That's basically the scene from Romeo and Juliet.
It's basically saying this is where he got his inspiration to write the movie.
Right. I don't love this movie, but I love the fact that this movie exists, because one of my favorite things is a parody of this. It's called George Lucas in Love.
Oh, really?
It's so funny. It's like a 12-minute movie.
Oh God, I gotta watch this.
Basically, it's, instead of William Shakespeare, it's George Lucas, and it's about the making of Star Wars. How he sees all the inspirations for making Star Wars: A New Hope, and it's really, really.
I have to watch that for sure.
I think I actually have the DVD of that. If not, you can find it on YouTube.
I'm sure it's on YouTube. It's
really, really, really funny. It's just a short little thing.
I think for me, for back in the day when I watched this movie, there was a point in my life where I was very poetic and very like into literature and love and all this stuff. And I think this kind of hit me in the feels that way, this movie. I can't say that I still feel that way, but I still enjoyed the movie a whole lot.
It's really well done. My honestly biggest problem with the movie is I'm just not a huge Gwyneth Paltrow fan. I think she's okay in the movie.
I think she did good in the movie.
I think she's okay in the movie. Like, one of the things I will give her a lot of credit for is, as an American actress, she does a good British accent.
Yeah, she really does. Yeah,
she really does. She's not bad in this movie. She's not an appealing screen presence to me. Like her as a person, like I always have trouble separating her as a person versus her as the performer.
Got it.
She's kind of a unpleasant person, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's about as
all right.
You know, politically correct as I'll kind of say. I have trouble with her on screen a lot of times. I think their chemistry is pretty good. I think
he is a very handsome man, in my opinion.
And he's got a different screen presence than his brother.
Yes.
Who we just saw.
Ralph Fiennes.
Who we just saw in The English Patient.
Who we were lulled to sleep by, ever so nicely.
He is good in the right role.
Yeah.
And I think his brother is a little more passionate, and I think you see that in this movie. He hasn't worked nearly as much as his older brother, but
he's still a good actor.
He is. They're both really good actors.
Yeah.
I think this movie would have worked even better for me if the chemistry was even stronger. It's okay. I don't think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they tell this story is, I think you need to have magnetic personalities, like just completely drawn to each other. You really need to buy the fact that this is life-changing for both of these people.
It's really hard to find that kind of chemistry now.
It really is, but they wrote that into the script.
Yeah.
Which is it's a really, really great script. Tom Stoppard is a fantastic writer.
I mean, who would have thought that Ben Affleck would be in like a period piece like this? And I honestly...
Harvey Weinstein, because he needed a name in this to sell it.
Yeah, so I I thought he was fine. He was
He's
great as
He's great.
Will's good friend, you know?
He ends up playing Mercutio.
Which
in the
makes
play.
sense, you know?
Yeah.
And he's not happy about it. He wants to be like frontliner, you know?
Yeah.
But he's great. All the supporting characters are really great.
Jeffrey Rush is great.
He's great. As the clueless, like, producer, I guess.
Yeah, Colin Firth plays Wessex, and he's just like
he's great.
He's great. I mean, and you know,
Judi Dench.
Judi Dench won the Oscar for about maybe 4 or 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, she was phenomenal
as Queen Elizabeth.
As Queen Elizabeth, yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
Is this like our first story about real people, but a fictional story?
On the main list, I believe so, yes.
Okay, so we know there's William Shakespeare.
Right.
We know that they're Marlowe.
Christopher
Marlowe, and the boy.
Yeah, I know you're talking
John Webster?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all real people, all playwrights in their own right. And, but, you know, obviously this isn't really what happened.
Yeah, it's a fictionalized kind of alternate history.
Yeah, they did a little Quentin Tarantino
a little bit
on us. But it was
in a fun way.
In a really fun way. I think that one of my favorite lines is at the end when they're saying goodbye to each other because she's got to go and be with her husband. And she says, "Write me well, Will. Like, I know you're going to write me in your stories. Just do a good job of it."
Right.
You know? So.
Yeah. My biggest problem with this is just the whole idea of the muse. Like,
oh, yes.
Like, that's like the only purpose of a woman is to, you know, inspire this great man to do his great work. I mean, that's kind of it's a little problematic to not give her. I understand like why she doesn't have agency based on the time period, but it's not a trope that draws me in. It's not immediately demeaning to women, but it's kind of low key demeaning to women.
Well,
like
that whole time frame was very. I mean, the fact that a woman couldn't be on a stage. That's why
I'm essentially okay with it because of the time period, but it's not a trope that draws me in.
I kind of find the whole her dressing up as a man particularly funny because it's a nod to Shakespeare. First of all,
not just that, but I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow is a very feminine-looking woman. Like, you know, just her features. She's
very delicate.
She's very delicate, and it's really hard to even find like the slightest man would appear physically like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
Even a very slight man has a different look than what she is going to present. Like, especially like her facial structure and things like that. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
That they chose someone like her to
I love the part where he's, you know, they realize that kid's voice changed, so he can't play the girl.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Rush is in the audience going, "Is anybody here that can play, you know?" And she's like, "I can do it." Yeah. And he's like, "Who are you?" Like,
yeah.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah,
and she's like, "I'm Master Kent." And he's like, "Oh yeah." Like, he just dawns on it. It was just so funny.
Yeah. There's a lot of really, like, there aren't a lot of, like, laugh out loud moments. There are just a lot of chuckles. And it's just, it's a fun movie. It's good. I gave it a 57. Jerry gave it a 67, so the list score is 62.
All right. If you have anything you would like to say about this movie, please write a comment. I'll be sure to take a look for it so I can comment back. If you would be so kind as to like and subscribe to our channel, we'd appreciate it. If you want to talk to us directly, please email us at ratingthelist@gmail.com. I think that's it for now. This is number 50. We're halfway done, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad.
And we're rating the list. We'll see you later.
Bye.